Welcome to this exciting project. We're going to create a website similar to IMdB, using Next.js 14 and Tailwind CSS to make things super easy. I'll guide you through every step of the way. First up, we'll learn how to organize our project's files and folders in Next.js 14 to make pages and routes. Then, we'll start building our IMdB clone from scratch, using the TMDB API to get movie information. Imagine making your very own movie database website just like imdb.com. But that's not all. We're not just focusing on functionality. We want our site to look great too. So we'll use Tailwind CSS to make it visually appealing with nice layouts and eye-catching designs. Plus, we'll add loading effects and handle errors smoothly with Next.js 14. As we move forward, we'll add even cooler features. We'll add a powerful search functionality so users can easily find their favorite movies. And we'll make sure our site works smoothly, whether you're using it on the server side or client side. Each movie will have its own special page with a unique style and design. And for those who prefer a darker look, we've got you covered. We'll add a sleek dark mode feature using Tailwind CSS. After completing this tutorial, we'll deploy our project using Hostinger. Hostinger is the hosting sponsor of the channel, and I frequently create different projects using Hostinger as it is easy to use and has super fast servers. For this project, I'm opting for VPS hosting. If you choose the most popular VPS, you'll receive a remarkably generous amount of RAM, storage, and bandwidth. This means you can deploy all your projects on a single server. These servers are incredibly fast thanks to their use of NVMe SSDs and one of the most powerful AMD processors available. Right now, there's an amazing offer. Don't forget to use the link provided in the description to access this offer and choose your time period. And if you want to enjoy an extra discount, simply use the coupon code SAHAND during checkout. Once you've made your purchase, you're ready to set up your server. Choose any location you prefer. We'll be installing a panel. It is going to be a cloud panel. Let's create a secure password and complete the setup. After this process, your server will be all set to deploy your apps. So let's proceed to create our application and deploy it onto our server.
Alright, welcome back. In this section, I'm going to review the final version. As you can see, I have provided the project, the final version at imdb.100jsprojects.com. And also, we're going to review how the file and folder structure works in Next.js 14 app directory using the software eraser. I'm going to create a diagram here inside eraser.io and show you how the folder and file structure works inside Next.js app directory. And then I'm going to share this diagram with you so you can check, and based on this diagram you can create the project and also you can use it for your future projects. So if you look at the final version here, as you can see, we have the home page here, which has a header, a navbar, a search box, and also we have here the trending tab, trending movies showing for us. And also we have other things like top rated movies. If you click on top rated in the navbar, you can see the top rated movies. And we have also the page for the search. For example, if I search the term wolf, they're going to show us a movie related to that. And also each movie has its own page. And pay attention to the pages. Now we are in this page /search/wolf, which is the search term. If you go to this page, we can see that now we are in /movie/the movie ID. So based on the ID, we're going to fetch data related to this movie. So let's create the diagram, and based on that, we're going to see how the folder and files are ordered in Next.js app directory so we can create these pages and routes, and also how the dynamic pages works in Next.js. So if we here create, let me just make this one IMdB clone. First, when we start the project, so in the start point, so if you just start, let me decrease the size. So we have the starting point, and then we're going to have npx create dash next dash app. If you run this one inside the terminal, we're going to have the Next.js. Or if you want to have the latest version, we just add the @latest. So after the starting point, we're going to have this command inside the terminal. This is going to create some folders and files for us automatically. And we're going to have a starting point in Next.js project. So after creating this, we're going to have a root folder. Because we need to define the folder we want to create. And based on that, we're going to have a root folder. So let me add a folder here. So if we're going to have a root folder. So this root folder, after the create React app is going to be created. And then inside this root folder, we're going to have 2 folders and some files. So we're going to have 2 more folders. One folder is src. The Next.js is going to ask you, do you want src folder or you want the app directory instead? But we're going to choose the src. This is going to be much more clean. Then we're going to have a folder called public. And also we're going to have some other files. The files are going to be including of config files like next.config.js, and also some JSON files like package.json and etc. So we're going to have some files as well. Here we're going to have some files, config plus JSON files. So all of them is going to be inside this root folder. So this is going to be the root folder. So after creating the root folder, we're going to have these 3 files. So these files are related to the version, the packages we're going to install. So we're not going to touch these files here, but we're going to work on this src and public. Public is going to be files like the public assets that the users can have access inside the browser, like images or favicons goes to this folder. So we're going to have some files, public files here. So these are going to be inside this public folder. But inside the src, we're going to have the app directory. So the app directory is going to create all the pages that we're going to see inside our final version. So we're going to have a folder called app, and it should be app. If you change the name of this folder, this is going to break your application. So the file's name, folder's name, everything is important in Next.js. And also we're going to have another folder which we're going to create ourselves, which is going to be components folder. And these 2 folders are going to be inside this src. So let me create a figure, and this is going to be src folder. So the components we're going to have, if you look at the final version, if we go different pages, for example, I go to the about page and then I come back to the home page. If you go to different pages, you can see this header, this navbar, and this search box is common in all pages. So in order to have them in everywhere, we're going to create some components, and we're going to add these components inside a file in app directory called layout.jsx or layout.js. It doesn't matter. The extension is not important here. So we're going to have some components. So let me add some file here. So the first one, for example, we're going to have header component, header.jsx, and then we're going to have navbar, and finally we're going to have this search box. So these are going to be common in all pages. So we're going to create them firstly inside the components folder. So this is going to be the components folder. And then inside the app directory, we're going to have some files and folders, which is going to create our pages. But as I mentioned before, we're going to have a layout.jsx, which is going to have these components, and this layout is going to be common in all pages. So instead of adding it one by one in each page, we're just going to add it inside the layout.jsx. So here inside the app directory, the first file we have is going to be layout.jsx. So it should be lowercase and can be JSX or JS. And then this is going to cover everything you put here. This is going to be common in all pages. And also, we're going to have another file here in the app directory. The file is global.css, which is going to have all the CSS syntaxes, or if you're using Tailwind CSS, you're going to add all the basic CSS styling inside the global.css. So this is going to be inside the app directory as well. The next things we're going to have here is going to be the page.jsx. So page.jsx actually is going to create the home page for us. So the home page, as you can see, just the / is going to be created by this page.jsx. So let's create a page here. Just say browser. Okay, so we're gonna have the home page here, which is going to be with the address /. So this is going to be created based on the codes inside the page.jsx. So this is going to be connected to this one. Okay, so we're gonna have more files here. For example, if you look at we're gonna have a file called loading.jsx, and this is kind of a new way that Next.js used to create our loading effect. So wherever you have loading, like we are fetching data from API, we're gonna have some loading effect. For example, if I refresh the page, you see that we have a loading spinner here. So this spinner is going to be inside this loading.jsx file, and Next.js is going to automatically show that loading before the home page, which is here, is shown. It also works for other pages as well. So in any other pages, if we have a low speed, you can see that we have a spinner. So we're going to have like a spinner. So you can just search for load. Okay, so this is a loader. So loading effect, or we can just say a spinner. Let's make it smaller. So this is going to be related to this place, the loading. So after that, also we're going to have sometimes the error. So imagine that there is a situation that we cannot fetch data. For example, we don't have internet. Let me show you. For example, if you go to the network and make the internet offline, and then we go to this page, for example, you can see we are getting an error. So instead of crashing the application, you can see we are getting just an error. Something went wrong, try again. So in order to create this error is in all pages. That's why we're going to create a file here called error.jsx. And we're going to say anytime any possible error happens, just run this page. So this page is going to be for the error. So that's for the error. And also for having the other pages, let me fix this. So other pages, for example, movie /movie or /search. So in order to create them, we need to add some other folders here. So in app directory, if I create another folder, for example, for about page, we have /about. In order to create the /about, we just need to add a folder here called about. And inside about, we're going to have a file called page.jsx. And this file is going to be that about page. So inside here, we're going to have this one. And this is going to create the about page, /about. So this is going to create this one, but just let me give you some points. For example, if you want to have a unique loading effect for the about page, you just need to add that loading file inside the about as well and change the loading effect and make it unique for the about page. Or even you want to make the unique error page, you can just add an error.jsx inside the about page. So this is the way that Next.js app directory works. But what about creating a dynamic page? For example, if we go to one page, you can see this is movie / this ID. But if you go to another movie, we can see that the ID is different. So in order to create a dynamic page, first thing first, you need to create a folder for that parent directory for example, this movie. So we're going to create another folder called movie. It should be lowercase because we want to create the same name. And inside this movie, first thing first, because we want to have a dynamic ID, so we're going to have another folder here, but this folder's name is different. We're going to put the ID inside a bracket. So we just say, for example, ID or movie ID. And then inside this folder, we're going to have this page.jsx file. In this way, we're going to have /movie / a dynamic ID. So we have movie folder, then inside the movie, we have ID, and then we have this page.jsx. So this page.jsx is going to create us if that movie page, dynamic movie page, which is going to be /movie / the movie ID. It can be anything. So this is going to be created by this file. And then I'm going to show you inside the projects how we can have access to this ID inside this page.jsx. It's very simple here as well. So instead of just using extra packages like React Router DOM as we use inside React, in Next.js we don't need to use any of these packages. So now for creating the search, we're going to create the same thing. For example, if I search the term nice, so we should see that we have /search /nice. So nice here is dynamic because it's based on the search term we have. So we're going to have /search /nice. So in order to create that, so we're going to have a folder called search, which is this /search. Then we're going to have the dynamic one. So this time, instead of ID, we can just call it, for example, search term. So this search term folder is going to be inside this folder. And then we're going to have this page.jsx inside this search term. So this is going to create us this page, this search page, which is going to be /search. And whatever search term we have, which is dynamic, for example, in our case, for example, I just say /nice. Okay. So all these folders is going to be inside this app directory. So I'm going to create a figure here. So this is going to be app folder. So inside the app folder, we're going to have these files, which is going to create the layout, the styling, the pages, the loading effect and error, and also we're going to have extra pages. Let me bring this one back. And then each page is going to have their own page.jsx. If you want to create it, a static page, you just create it like this. If you want to have a dynamic page, you're going to have an extra folder with a bracket and that variable, that dynamic things like ID or search term, and then we're going to have the page. And as I mentioned, if you want to have a unique loading effect, for example, for the movie page, you're going to have loading.jsx here or here, or if you want something that would be common in all the movie page, you're going to have a layout.jsx inside this folder. So you're going to have some layout for different pages. So this is the way the file and folder structure works inside Next.js app directory. So I'm going to share this eraser.io with you, and you can have access to it if you want to use it for your own projects. In the next section, we're going to install Next.js using this utility, and we're going to start having these files. I'm going to explain you again inside the projects in more detail about these formats and how we use, for example, different files like layout, loading, and error.jsx in their own specific pages. So see you in the next section. All right, welcome back. In this section, we're going to install Next.js and Tailwind CSS and create our first template. So what we want to do is to open the Visual Studio Code. I want to create the project in my desktop. So I'm going to open a new folder, and then I just want to choose desktop. And then what I want to do here is to open the terminal, and then we can use the create next app utilities to install Next.js. So let me show you here. So let's go to Next.js website. We just search for Next.js and we go to nextjs.org. And here we just click on get started, and inside the installation tab, as you can see, the first things you need to do is to install the latest version of Node.js. If you don't have, you just click here, go to the Node.js website and install it. Then we can use npx create next app at latest to install Next.js. I'm going to copy this and then paste it here. Here you're going to ask you which folder do you want to have for your application. I want to just say, for example, IMdB next. Sorry, IMdB. This is the name of the folder that all the files is going to be inside. Then they ask you, would you like to have TypeScript? I just say no. Then slink, which is going to suggest you some like a typo mistakes. You just say yes. Do you want Tailwind CSS? I choose yes. Would you like to have src directory? I just say yes. App router, which is the latest way to create pages in Next.js, we're gonna say yes. And do you want to use alias? Alias is just a shortcut for your addresses when you're importing your packages. I want to say yes. And which alias you want to use? I just say @ So now this is going to install the dependencies like React, DOM, and Next. And then this is going to install some dev dependencies that we can only use inside the development mode. But in the production mode, we don't need these things like auto prefixer for Tailwind CSS. These mostly are for Tailwind CSS. Then once we install it, as you can see, we got the success message here. Then we can just go inside the folder that we have created, which is IMdB-next. Then we can just run npm run dev to run this application inside this URL, localhost 3000. And you can just keep the control or command in macOS and click on it to open it inside your browser. So this is the first template we got from the Next.js. They have just created this page for us. In order to edit this page, as we get this suggestion, we need to edit this file, page.js, inside the src folder and app folder. So we go to Visual Studio Code. Let's open the Explorer section. As you can see, all the files are here. This is my desktop. So let me close the Visual Studio Code, or just let me open this folder. In my desktop, IMdB Next. I'm gonna open this folder instead. So this is all the files that we have installed during this installation. So we have these two files, two folders, that is for Next.js installation and the packages. Then we have the public folder that all the assets of our website goes there, like the images and etc. Then we have the src folder, which we are using app directory, that includes this page.jsx. By editing this one, we're gonna change the homepage of our website. We have a layout.jsx that is going to have the layout of our website. For example, in the final version, we can see that we have a header and a navbar, and this is common in all the website. For example, in this page, we still have the header, the navbar, and the search box. So by adding these three components inside the layout file, we're gonna have them in all pages. And also we have the globals.css, which are the CSS. The styling goes here. We are using Tailwind CSS. So these are for the base Tailwind CSS classes. And then we're gonna have some more classes that is added automatically by the installation. Let's clean the home page. For example, this page, we have this home page. We can just delete this home page and change it with a React functional component using RFC snippet. So I'm just gonna call this one home. If you don't see the RFC in your suggestion, you can just go to your extensions and install this this extension. ES7 React Redux React Native snippets. And also I have some more extension that might be useful for you. For example, this auto rename tag, which is going to automatically change the closing tag based on your opening tag. Also use GitHub Copilot to get coding suggestion during my code, but this is not a free extension. Then you don't need this live server. You can use this multiple cursor case preserve to change the variables inside your pages by keeping their case. For example, if they are uppercase or lowercase, we can keep them. I'm going to show you in the project if I used it. Then we have prettier, which is going to format our code after saving. You also need Tailwind CSS IntelliSense to get Tailwind CSS classes suggestion when you are typing it. And that's it for our extensions. Also, I don't use this one anymore. So let's check our website now. If you refresh this page, let's see, it's not working. Let's open the terminal. We need to run this one again using npm run dev to see the change. So let's refresh the page. Now we see the home. And also, as you can see, we get some styling, which is coming from this global.css. So we don't need this actually added styling. We can just delete them. So we remove these kind of weird styling firstly. So now we get the home page. In the layout page, I want to show you that we have some metadata. So the way we add metadata in Next.js app directory is to use metadata function. So this one includes the title, description, and etc. So for example, the title now is create next app. We can just change this one to IMdB, for example, IMdB clone. For the description, we just say this is a movie database clone, for example. As you can see now, the title of this page is changed to IMdB clone. And also if we inspect the page, we can see that inside the head section, we have this metadata tag description. This is a movie database clone. Let me just add the A here. So as you can see, this page is completely SEO friendly. So these are added and also created before the page is indexed in the Google. So the Google is going to see all these metadata tags. So Next.js is more SEO friendly than basic React.js framework. So that was it for creating, installing our Next.js and Tailwind CSS. We want to create a GitHub repository for this project as well. So we go to github.com. So if you go to github.com and if you sign in with your account, this is totally free. So make sure you're signed in and you're logged in. Then you can just click on create new repository. And here you can just create a repository name for that. For example, I just call it IMdB next. And the description is going to be, for example, IMdB clone using Next.js and Tailwind CSS. So we can just keep it public or we can just make it private. And then we can just click on create repository. The create React app actually is created, initialize a Git repository for us. As you can see, we have it inside our source control, the changes. So what we want to do, we just want to connect this GitHub repository to our account. So we have done the first part by using npx create React app. So we just need to push it to our, this is going to assign a URL for us. So we're going to add it to the origin, get a branch, and also we want to push and upload our GitHub repository to this online repository. We just copy this and we can just create a new terminal. Make sure you are inside this folder and paste this code. Then we go to the next line. And finally, this one, we're going to upload them to GitHub. So as you can see, it's being uploaded. And if you come back here and refresh this page, we should see all our files inside this GitHub repository. As you can see, we have the about. And also let me add this website. This is the final version. You can come and also check it. imdb.100jsprojects.com. Let me add it here. So it should be a URL. Okay. You just create these changes. You can come to this GitHub repository. You can see the commits here. And this is our initial commit that is created by create next app. So in each section of the videos, I'm gonna create a new commit. So you can come here and compare your code with my code. So this is going to be very easy for you to follow along with the tutorial. Also, we need to add these changes to the GitHub repository too. So I'm gonna add all of them by just clicking on this add in the source control and then create a message. For example, create the first template, and then we can just commit and push. So now inside the GitHub repository, if we refresh the page, we can see we have 2 commits here now. And you can just click on the commit and then see the changes I have done to the code. And you just need to compare your code with this one. So in the next section, we're going to create the header component of our projects. We're going to make it like the final version. We're going to have a menu, and also we're going to have a logo on the right side. So see in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have installed Next.js and Tailwind CSS and created our first template. We just got this home here in the home page. In this section, we're going to add the header section like the one in the final version. As I mentioned before, this header is common in all pages. So we need to add it to the layout file to be able to see it in everywhere. So let's create the header component first. We just go to the Explorer section. Inside the src folder outside this app, I'm going to create another folder called components. We just create a file here called header.jsx, and we can just use RFC to create a React functional component with the name header. So we can add this one inside the layout. So inside the layout, as you can see, we have the children, that is all our website. So we want to put this header inside the body section, but outside the children. So here, we just put the header here. We just say header, and we can just import it at the top. As you can see, it's imported from components folder, and we are using this alias to replace all the like ... and etc. So we just say add /components/header. So we need to close this tag. So now if we check our website, you can see we have the header at the top. So let's bring this one to the right side and this one to the left side so we can see the changes in real time in the header component. And let's design what we can do inside the header.jsx. So inside the header, we're going to have a div for the left side, which is the menu. And also we want to have a div for the right side for the dark mode and also that logo. So we want to create the menu, but for the menu, I want to just use a component for the menu, which is going to be cleaner. So instead of putting each menu, I want to create a component for the menu item. So I just create a component called menu item.jsx, and we can use RFC to create a React functional component here. And let's add it here inside this div. So the first menu item, let's import it at the top, and then I wanted to add some props here, something we want to send there. For example, we want to add the title. So the title for the first menu, as you can see from the final version, is, if you see here, it's home and then about. So the first one is home, the title. But when we have a smaller screen, this home is just an icon. So we have title in the largest screen, and in the smaller screen, we have just an icon. So we're going to pass these things here. So for example, for the first one, the title is home. Then we have the address. So when we click on it, which address we want to go, we're going to set here, which is going to be, for example, /. Then we're going to pass the icon. The icon is, we need to make it uppercase because it's the component, and we want to use a package for getting the icons called React icons. So here inside the terminal, let's clear this. I want to install a package called React-icons. And using this package, we want to add the icons. So first icon I want to have is this icon, which is AI fill home, which is coming from React-icons/AI. AI stands for, I don't know what exactly it stands for, but if you check the React icons, this website, react-icons.github.io, we can see, okay, the AI was for Ant design icons. So this is AI. They have many packages. For example, even they have font awesome. So for the font awesome, you just need to add /FA. So you can search your icon here and then just use this import to add it to your project. So let's add this icon here as a prop. So I'm going to pass this one. This one should be like this in a set of curly braces. So for the next icon, let's bring this one to the right side again. So let's copy this one using Alt-Shift down arrow. And then the title for the next one is going to be about. The address is going to be /about. And the icon we want to use is this icon. Let me import it. BS fill info circle fill from React icons /BS. So we have now two menu items. Let's just import this information inside the menu item component as a prop here. And then what we want to do here, we just get the title, address, and icon, and then we want to show them here. When we click on it, we want to go to the different places. So I want to use a link tag from next/link, and the href is going to be address that we are getting from here. Okay, so and then inside this one, we're going to have the icon first. We just say icon, and then the icon, let's just close it first. And then after the icon, we're going to have a p tag saying the title. Okay, so as you can see, we get the icon, we get the title, home, and about. But for the icon, I didn't add this one to the second one. So the second one is going to be this icon, which is this info icon. So we need to style this a little bit using Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS is actually pretty simple. You just need to add the classes that is equal to the CSS equivalent. So what I mean by that is, for example, for this paragraph, if I want to style it, I just add a class name here. And then, for example, I want to make it uppercase. We just say uppercase. You can use Ctrl space to get some help from the Tailwind CSS IntelliSense extension and see the complete one. And this is the equivalent of that in CSS, text-transform uppercase. So instead of typing this one in CSS, you just need to type this uppercase. So now we got all of them uppercase. And also, I want to make this one hidden. So I just want to see the icons in the small screen. And then in the larger screen, I want to see that title. So first we want to make it hidden, so we don't see the titles. But in the small size and above, I want to see them. So we just say SM, and then we just say n line, for example. So in the largest screen, more than mobile size, we see these icons. And also now, because we use the link tag, when we click on about, we go to /about. But we haven't created this page yet, so we are getting an error saying the page could not be found. So let's style this more. For example, I want to make this title also with a smaller size. We just say text small, which is this font size, 14 pixels. So after styling the paragraph, I want to style this icon. I just need to add the class name equal to, for example, I want to make it bigger. So we just say text 2XL. So we can see it here. Let's come back here in the home page. So this is 2XL, and also in the mobile size and above, I want to make this one hidden. So we just say hidden as similar to this. Okay. So I want them to be next to each other, these icons. And also I want them to be in a color text dash amber. When we hover over them, I want to have this different color, like text amber 500. So now when we hover it, we can see the different colors, and also for the icons as well. So for hovering effect, you just need to say hover colon. So I want to bring them next to each other. So inside the header, I want to just style it. So here we can just use flex to bring them next to each other. And we can just add a space between them using gap, for example, 4. So that's it for the menu in the left side. You can see we have this one here. So for the div that is covering all of them, let's first actually make this menu on the right side. I want to create this icon for the dark mode in the later section, but let's just make this icon. It's IMdB in the small size. In the bigger size, we see IMdB clone. So we want to use the same technique using hidden class to create this effect. So inside this class, we're going to have 2 span. The first span is going to say IMdB. And let's copy this. The second one is going to be clone. You can see it here. Then what we want to do is just add some style to that. For example, for the clone, I want to make this text to be x large. I want to make it hidden in the mobile screen, and in the mobile screen and above, SM above, I want to make this one inline, which is visible. So now you see IMdB, but in the bigger screen, we see the clone. For the IMdB part, let's make this one 2x large, and then let's make the font to be bold. And also we want to have a background color for that of amber 500. And let's add some padding in the y-axis of 1 and in the x-axis of 2. And we make it rounded large, so you have a rounded corner. So that's it for styling for the IMdB clone. I want to bring them, so use the flex and add some space between them. So we just say flex and we add a space between them of using gap 1. And I want to bring them just aligned with each other. So we can just use items center. So that's it for this one. And then for the div that is covering both of the menu and the logo, let's make it this one flex. And then we want to add a space between them. We want to push them in the sides using justify between. We can add a space between them. We can use item center to align them vertically. Let's add a padding of 3. And in the largest screen, I want to have a maximum width of 6XL, but I want them to be in the center, so we can just add MX auto here. So like this. So they're going to be like that. Now in the smallest screen, we just see IMdB and the icons. And then the largest screen, we see the menu and the this icon. What else I want to do, when we click on the icon, I want to go to the home page as well. So instead of this div, you can replace this div with a link tag from next/link. And then we just add a href. We just say go to the home page. So now if we are in the about page and we click on this icon, we go to the home page. So that's it for creating the header component. Let's add this one to the GitHub. So I'm going to add everything and then create a message for that. For example, I just want to create a message saying add header section, and then we can just commit and push. So now in the GitHub repository, we should see this new commit. If you click here, you can see we have 3 commits, and the last one is add header section. You can see that we have installed a new package, and inside the layout.jsx, we have added this header section, and we have created a new file called header.jsx inside the components folder. And also we have created another component called menu item. So if you have any problem in your code, you can just come to this commit and compare your code with this one. So to find your possible mistake. So in the next section, I'm going to add the dark mode. So as you can see from the final version, when we click on this icon, we can see we have the dark mode and light mode effect. We're going to use a package called Next Theme to add this ability. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed the header section of our project. In this section, we're going to add the dark mode functionality. So we're going to use a package called Next Theme that is going to use context to save the preference of the user. For example, if the user wants their system to be dark mode, they're going to detect that and make it dark mode by default, and then they can be able to change it as well. So what we do here, we're going to install that package. So here we're going to install a package called Next-Themes with S. And once we install it, we need to create a component and put everything inside that component. And this component needs to be client side to be able to use it, because we are using use context. We cannot use server side for this component. By default, all the components of Next.js are server side, but when we are using a use context, at any hooks or on click, we need to create a client side to be able to interact with the website. So any interaction with the website should be in client side. So what we want to do is to create a file inside the src in the app folder. We create a file called providers.jsx, and this component, which is a React functional component, should be a client side. So we need to add use client at the top to be able to change it to use client. Okay, so this is the client side component. So, and then we want to use the theme provider from the Next themes that we have installed to create it. So we just say import theme provider, which is coming from Next-themes. And then we want to cover everything here with that theme provider. Inside this, we're going to have a div that is covering all our website. And then we want to add the children here, and we get the children from the props here. So all our website goes inside this theme provider, and they're gonna be inside the dark mode and light mode, because we want to change all the website when we click on dark mode and light mode. What we need to do next is to go to the layout.js inside the app, and then we want to cover everything inside the body section with that providers that we have created. So here inside the body section, I want to just add the providers, which is coming from here. And then we need to put everything inside this provider. In this way, this providers is client side, but inside is all server side. So Next.js app directory is kind of smart to understand that inside is server side and outside is client side, and then keep everything separated. For the providers, that theme providers, we need to add some attributes. So we want to have a default theme. We want to use the system theme. For example, the system theme can be dark or light based on the preference of that person. This one is depends on the operating system, for example, Windows or Mac OS. So the person can use light mode or dark mode. So theme provider is going to detect that one and choose it for us. And then we want to add attribute class here to be able to use Tailwind CSS classes. And in order to complete this, we need to go to tailwind.config.js and add another thing here called dark mode. And we just say dark mode class. So to be able to use dark mode classes. So this is the first step. Then we want to add another component for the dark mode switch and add it to the header section. So inside the components, we're going to create another component called dark mode switch, or you can call it whatever you want. And we just create a React functional component for now, but we want to add this one to our header.jsx before this logo. So inside this here, I want to add another div, and inside the div, I want to add that dark mode and also this logo. So let's bring this logo inside this div, and at the top we want to add that dark mode switch. So if you check our website now, we can see the dark mode switch, and also as you can see, the page is dark because my system preference is dark mode. So it's already working. So also we have the dark mode switch here. So let's quickly style this. So what we want to do here, I want to bring them next to each other using flex. And let's make them aligned using all items center. And let's add a gap between them of 4. Okay. So, but we don't want to just say dark mode switch as a text. We want to have some icons like the one in the final version. We want to have a moon and light icons. So inside the dark mode switch, so let me close some of the files. So inside the dark mode switch, what we want to do here, we want to create a condition. So if it's a dark mode, we want to show the light icon, and if it's light mode, we want to show the dark icon, which is the moon icon. So first thing first, I want to import two icons, and also this one is use client. This is a client side because we want to add some hook here to detect if the system or the choice of the user is light or dark. So here, first thing first, I want to import that icons, which is MD light mode and MD dark mode, which is coming from react-icons/MD. And then here inside this, we want to create a condition. First thing first, I want to see what's the theme we have, and then we create a condition. So in order to know, we need to import use theme from next themes. And then here, we want to get that theme. And also we want to have a function to set the theme, because when we click on the icon, we want to change the theme. And also we want to get the system theme from use theme. So we have imported use theme, and then using this hook, we get these three. And as we are using a hook, we need to change the server side to client side. Otherwise, we're going to get an error in Next.js. So here, we're going to define the current theme. We just say const current theme. So the current theme is going to be equal to the theme, this theme from the use theme. If the theme is equal to system, we want to use the system theme. Otherwise, we want to use that theme, the original theme. So, and then here, we want to create a condition. So we just say here, if the current theme is dark, we want to show that MD light icon. Otherwise, we want to see the dark icon. So now we see the moon icon because we are in the dark mode. And then we want to add some on-click event listener to these things to change the theme. So first thing first, I want to add a style. So I want to add a style for both of them. So I just keep the Alt key and the Alt key. We just press on both of them, and then we just say class name. The classes I want to add, I want to make them larger. We just say x large text. We set the cursor to be pointer. So we see a pointing hand when we click on them, when we hover over them. And then when we hover over them, I want to change their color to be amber. We just change the text to be amber 500. So you can see the color. Yeah, that's it for this one. And also we want to add an on-click event listener, for example, to the first one. When we click on this one, we want to change the theme. So in the light mode, when we click on it, we want to set the theme to be light. And also when we click the other one, the dark icon, I want to set the theme to be dark. Let's see it's working or not. So now it still doesn't work because we need to define some colors for different things. So inside the providers.jsx here, in this div that is covering everything, I want to add some classes. For example, I want to make the text to be gray 700 for the light mode. For the dark mode, I want to make the text to be gray 200. And let's change the background color for the dark mode to be gray 700. Let's make the minimum height of the screen. So we just say minimum height of the screen to be 100% of the viewport height by just adding min height screen. And then I don't want to click when we click on the text to select it. So we just say select none. And also we want to add some transition when we change the colors with the duration of 300. Let's see if it's working now. We are getting an error. Let's check the error. So the error is in the layout.jsx, we have some error. Let's check the layout.jsx. So we have created the providers. We have imported there here. So I think because we have changed the Tailwind CSS config, we haven't restarted the server. We need to restart the server when we changed a Tailwind file. Let's try this one. Maybe it's gonna fix our problem. So now let's refresh the page. So now we can see our website, the background is changed. And also when we click on this icon, So we don't see the change here. Let's see the problem here. So when we click on the icons inside the dark mode switch, we set the theme to light or dark. So this is MD dark mode. So we have imported use theme and initialized it here. And also I think it's a problem of the mounting because it takes time to the page to be loaded and the system is decide which theme we have. Otherwise we're going to have some conflict between the server and client. So we need to add actually a use effect React hook, and also we're gonna have something called mounted. So the mounted, we're gonna have a piece of state called mounted using the use state React hook, and we set it to be false at the beginning. Also we need to import it, but when the page is loaded completely we can detect it by use effect, then we want to set the mounted to true. So we need to import use effect as well. So let's see we can fix the problem here. Okay, now it's working, as you can see. Now in the dark mode, we see the light mode. Let's refresh the page. Okay, now we have to add the mounted here as well. We just say first, if it's mounted, also the dark mode is here. So we just say mounted. If it's mounted and the current theme is dark, show this one. So first, as you can see, now we see some icons. And also we can just add this one in a parenthesis to cover everything here. So we're gonna have another parenthesis somewhere like here. So we're not gonna see any icon when we refresh the page. Until the page is mounted, we see an icon, and then we can just change the dark mode to light mode. All right, so that was it for adding the dark mode functionality. Let's add this one to the GitHub. We just create a message saying add dark mode, and we can commit and push. So inside our GitHub repository, now we have 4 commits, and the last one is add dark mode. So we have installed a package called Next Themes, and we have created a file called providers.jsx, which is a client-side component, and we have covered everything with the theme provider. So in this case, we have added this attribute class to be able to use dark mode classes in our Tailwind CSS. Inside the layout, we have covered everything with these providers, and we have created a component called dark mode switch, which is a client-side component as well. So we have used the use theme from Next theme to change the theme and also detect the system theme. So first we just decide which theme we have based on the system theme, and then we're gonna show the light mode or dark mode icon based on that, and then we can change the light mode and dark mode using the set theme function here. And also we have added this dark mode switch component inside the header.jsx. So the other things we need to do is the Tailwind CS inside the Tailwind CSS.config.js. We have added this dark mode class here to be able to use it, and just pay attention that you need to restart the server to see the effect of that when you are changing anything inside the tailwind.config.js. In the next section, we're going to work and create our about page, and we're going to learn how to create different pages inside Next.js. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed the dark mode functionality of our website. In this section, I'm going to create the about page. If you look at the final version, you can see that we just have a title, about, and also we have 3 paragraphs. So, and the page is inside the /about. Now in our website, when we go to the about page, we don't get any page. We just get an error saying the page could not be found. In order to create a page inside Next.js with the app directory, we just need to go to the app folder, and then we just need to create a folder called about, which is the name of the page we want to create. And inside this folder, we want to create a file called page.jsx. And if you just use RFC, you can create a React functional component. I just want to call it about. And now if we try to go, you can see now that we have this about here inside the about/about. So we are not getting any error. So this is a very simple way to create new pages for any project. So let's just complete this about page. Let me create this, bring this one to the right side so we can see the changes in real time. So what I want to do here inside this div, I want to add an h1 tag saying about, and then let's just style this one real quick. I just want to make the text to be 2XL. Let's make the font to be medium, the thickness of the font, and then let's create the color to be text amber 600. After this h1 tag, we're gonna have a paragraph. As you can see from the final version, we have 3 paragraphs. So let me just copy. We cannot copy the text because we have selected the select none here. I just grabbed the text. Now I just want to paste it here. So just the 3 paragraphs. And you can see it here, but they are just connected to each other. So in order to create a space between them, and then I want to just style them inside this div, I want to set the maximum width to be 6XL. So we're gonna have a similar size of the final version. Let's bring them to the center using MX Auto first. And as you can see here, we just need to add some padding of 3 to have the same alignment. And then we want to have a space between them, but just say gap 4. Let's see. Oh, actually, we need to add a flex to use the gap 4. Instead of gap 4, we can use a space Y4. So we don't need to create a flex box for adding a gap. Okay, so this is our about page. So that's it for creating the about page. We just learned how to create a page by just adding a folder with the name of the page and also a file called page.jsx. Let's add this one to the GitHub. We just say add or create the about page. You can just commit and push it. So in the next section, we want to create the navbar component. If you look at the final version, we can see we have a navbar. And when we click on trending or top rated, we're going to change the URL to this genre fetch trending, and also top rated is going to change it to genre fetch top rated. And based on these parameters, based on these queries, we can just search and fetch different types of data. So see you in the next section for adding the navbar component of our project. Alright, in the last section, we have completed the about page of our project. In this section, we're going to work on the navbar. Navbar, similar to the header, is inside all pages. For example, if we go to this page, we can see it still here. So we're going to add the navbar again inside the layout.js. So in this case, we can see it in every pages. First, we're going to create a component called navbar. So inside the components folder, we're going to create another file called navbar.jsx. We create a React functional component. Here, we're going to have 2 navbars. So I'm going to create a navbar item component for each of them. So let's create another component called navbar item.jsx. Let's create a React functional component using RFC snippet. And let's use this one here inside the navbar. So before, if we want to see the effects, we need to actually add it inside the layout.js. So after the header, so if you pay attention, after the header, we can just have our navbar. So here we just add the navbar. We need to import it at the top and close it. So now, if you refresh the page, let's see, we can see it in different pages. This is the home page. This is about page. So navbar now doesn't have any content. That's why we cannot see it. So let me close everything. So let's go to the navbar now. Let's add our navbar item. We need to import it at the top. We have 2 items. So as you can see now, we can see our navbar item here. The first item is going to have, we want to pass the title and the parameters. So the title for the first one is going to be top trending, or we just say trending. And the parameter for that one is going to be fetch trending, because we want to use this parameter to change the URL, and also we want to fetch data later from the IMdB, so we have choose this name. So this is going to be fetch trending. So the other one, let me copy this and just delete this one. So the title for this one is going to be top rated with the uppercase R. And for the param, I just want to choose fetch top rated. So now we can use them inside the navbar item by just passing them as a prop here. So here we're going to get title and param. So this div, inside this div, we're going to have a link tag from next/link. And inside the link, we're going to have the title. So let me see that we can get something. So we need to have a href for the link, so we don't get an error. The href is going to be dynamic because it's different. And we just say genre, this query, genre, and this is going to be equal to that param that we are getting as a prop. So now we have trending and top rated. So if you click on trending, we go to /genre fetch trending. If I click on top rated, we go to genre equal to fetch top rated. So this is the way we change the links. So let's style them real quick. So inside the navbar, I want to bring them next to each other. So I just say flex here to bring them next to each other. After that, I want to change the background color in the dark mode. I want to change the background color to be PG Amber 600, as you can see here. And then, but in the normal time, in the light mode, I want to just change the background to be Amber 100. So in the light mode, we have this color. In the dark mode, we have this color. And let's add some padding of 4. And also I want to make the text to be larger in the large screen, and above I want to make the text to be large. So here we have a bigger size, and in order to bring them to the center, we can just use justify center. And we don't have any space between them, so we can just add a gap of, for example, 4. So add a space between them. And when we hover over them, what I want to do, so let's actually add a style in the link. So, but I want to add a dynamic style, because when this one is selected, I want to have an underline. So if you look at the final version, so when we are in top trending, we have an underline with this color. And when we are in top rated, we have underline here. So this is going to be dynamic based on this URL. So here we're going to have a class name, but this class name is going to be dynamic. So this is going to be inside a set of curly braces. And then let's see what we have here. So I just want to add some, I feel they're so connected here. Okay, let's add some more space between them. So in the navbar, let's add the gap, add it to be, for example, 6. Okay, I think that's okay. Let's check this one. Oh, okay, this is not amber color. I think I made a mistake here. In the dark mode, I don't want it to be amber. I want it to be gray 600. So that's why we got the amber color. So now it's fine, I think. So what I want to do here, I want to get this genre. So in order to get that genre, we can just use a method called use search params from next navigation. So inside the navbar item here, I want to import that hook. which is use search params from next/navigation, we need to initialize it here before the return. We can just create a constant. We get the search params, and this is going to be equal to use search params. And now we can get the genre, which is search params.get, and we get the genre from the URL. Now we have a styling here. We just say if we hover over it, let's change the text to be amber. Let's make it 600. So let's see what we get. We are getting an error because we are using a hook. We cannot use this as a server side. We need to change it to client side. So we need to add use client at the top. So now, as you can see, we have the hover effect. So we get the hover effect, and also I want to make the font to be semi-bold. After that, I want to make some condition. We just say if the genre is equal to param, this param that we are getting from the as a prop, we are getting it. If this one is equal that one, we want to add an underline. So we just say here, just add underline, and the underline offset, I mean the space between the underline and the text is going to be 8, and let's add a decoration of 4, which is the thickness of the underline, and then the color is going to be decoration amber 500, and let's make it rounded as well. Otherwise we're gonna just say nothing. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we have to create and then close this. Okay, now it's fine. As you can see, now we get the top rated and underline here. If you go trending, we get this one. If we don't have anything, we don't get anything here. So trending, top rated. So it's working. The way I want to explain it again. So we have a dynamic styling. This is the common styling for both situation. But if the genre is equal to params, for example, if we have a top rated equal to top rated, then we want to have an underline with these kind of styling. Otherwise, we don't want to have any styling here. All right, so that was it for creating the navbar. In the next section, after creating the navbar, we want to fetch data from the TMDB API in the homepage. So we want to get this information first. We want to first sign up for the TMDB API. And based on this genre, we want to fetch data and show it in the homepage. So see you in the next section. Oh, before going to the next section, let's add this one to the GitHub before forgetting. So this is going to be create the navbar component. So we can commit and push. So in the next section, we're going to fetch data from TMDB API for the homepage. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed the navbar component. In this section, we're going to work on fetching data from TMDB API for the homepage. The first thing we need to do is to go to the TMDB website to get our API key. So here on Google, we search for TMDB, and in the search results, we go to themoviedb.org. And here, you need to sign in. It's free to sign in. When you are signing in, you just click here and go to your setting. And after the setting, you just go to API and get your API key from here. I just need to copy this API key, and we just go to Visual Studio Code. We need to put it in an environmental variable because we want to keep this API key secret. We don't want to upload it to the GitHub, so no one else can see our API key. So here in the roots of our project, not inside any folder, just in the root, you just right click and click on new file and create a file called .env.local. And inside this file, we're gonna just create a variable called, for example, underline API underline key, and we just paste our API key that we have copied. So once you do that, we can use this API key in our application. So we go to this page that we have created, the home page, and then at the top, I want to create a constant called API underline key, and this is going to be process.env. We want to have access to that environmental variable, so we just say process.env dot the name of the variable, which was API key. The way that Next.js works is when we want to create a server-side component and just fetch the data before the page is loaded inside the client side, we just need to change this function, this React functional component to asynchronous. And here we can just do some fetching and create an await and fetch for the result. So here we want to wait for we just create a response, and we want to just use await because we want to wait for the result, and we use fetch method, and the API URL for the TMDB website is https api.themoviedb.org. We want to use the version 3, and after that we want to have a dynamic URL because we want to create a request based on the top trending or top rated. So we want to know what is this query here, the genre. Based on this genre, we want to get different data from the API. So here I want to make it dynamic. So after this, we want to create a $sign. So here we want to say we want to get the genre first at the top. So the way we get the genre, we want to get in the server side, we can get the genre like this. We just say search params, and the genre is going to be equal to that search param and then dot genre. Or if this is not available, if there is nothing, for example, if we are in the home page and there is no genre, so in this case, we want to just fetch the trending. We use fetch trending. So in the home page, if there is no query, we just fetch trending. Otherwise, we check the genre. It can be trending or top rated. So here inside this variable, we just say if the genre is equal to fetch trending, or we just say fetch top rated because we want to just ignore if there is something else rather than top rated, we want to just show something else. So we just say if this is a top rated, just add movie dash top rated. Otherwise, just search the trending for the last week. And after that, we need to add more things. We want to add the API key. So API key, we just have to add a question mark API key, and the API key is coming from here that we are getting from our environmental variable. And then also we want to set the language to be English, and also we can just get the first page. We just say we can add another query page equal to 1. So that is okay. We can just now close this. So after that, we're going to convert the response to JSON. So we get the data, and if the response is not okay, we want to throw an error. So we just say throw a new error, and then we just say we can just say something went wrong or failed to fetch. Otherwise, we want to now we can just get the results here, which is going to be equal to data.results. So we can just console log now, for example, the results. But because we are console logging in the server side, we should look at the console inside the terminal of the server, not in the client side. So I think we are missing some parentheses somewhere. Let's see. I think we need to. I think this is not necessary here. I think that's fine. So let's try to go to homepage. So we're gonna use fetch trending first. Let's check the console. Okay, we got the result here. Okay, so we got the result. These are the movies and the title, overview, and etc. So if you check, the first movie is Aquaman and Lost Kingdom, which is a new movie and it's trending. If you try the top rated and you refresh the page, we should see the top rated now. So for the top rated, the first one shouldn't be the Aquaman. Okay. So because the result is too much, let's just console log result.title. It should be better. Let's go here. Okay, we're getting undefined. Let's see what it should be. Original title, not the title. Original underline title. Oh, actually, we have to loop through it and then show it. No, result doesn't have such a thing. So let's actually pass this result here and then loop through it and see the title. So we know that it's working. So inside the home page, instead of this one, I want to create another component here called result or results.jsx. Let's create a React functional component, and then inside the home page, I want to just bring that results. We need to import it, and then we pass this one as a prop. Now inside the results, I want to loop through that results. We want to get this result as a prop here, and then inside this div, I just create a map. We get each result, and then let's create a div. The key is going to be result.id, and then let's show the result in an h2 tag. We just say result.original underline title. Let's refresh the page. We are getting some error inside the result.jsx. So I haven't closed this parenthesis. Okay, let's try now. So now these are the top rated. As you can see, The Godfather or these movies are very the all-time top rated movies. And if you click on trending, we get the trending, top rated, trending. And if you don't have anything, we should get only the trending. So it's working now. So these are the titles. You can get other things. For example, we can get just the overview and etc. So if you check the overview, you can see the overview of each movie. So we have the data inside the result. In the next section, what we want to do is to show the result and make this beautiful card and show it like this. So let's add this one to the GitHub, and we're going to continue this in the next section by adding the cards. So the message for this one is going to be fetch data from TMDB API in the homepage. You can just commit and push. So see in the next section for creating the cards. Actually, before the cards, I want to handle the error. If some error happens here, for example, if the API key is not correct. For example, the API key is this one. If I just add some letters here, for example, X, so we're going to get an error. What happened here? We just get an error like this. We don't want to just break the website if an error happened. So in Next.js, we're going to create a new file for handling the error, which is very handy and it's very simple to do it. I'm going to show you in the next section how to handle the errors. So let's fix this one first and see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have fetch data from the TMDB API for the homepage. In this section, we're going to handle the error by the new method that Next.js provides. So what we do here for handling the error is to create a file inside the app folder. We have app folder here. We need to just create a file called error lowercase error.jsx. And let's create a React functional component first. The things this one works because this is just it used some we have to add an onClick to it. It should be a client-side component. So we just add use client, and this error is going to give us two things: error and that reset. Reset means you're gonna try again. We just say when we call that reset function, this is going to try again, and if it doesn't work, it shows the error again. Otherwise, it's gonna show the page. So what we do here, we're gonna import use effect from React, and then here we're gonna we just wanna, if an error happened, anytime an error happened, we wanna run this component, and then we just wanna first we wanna just console log the error here, but we wanna have a button to be able to reset the server. So what we do here, we just add a h1 tag. First, we just say something went wrong. Please try again. And then we're gonna have a button saying try again, and which is going to call our reset function. We're gonna call it like this. We just say reset, and we need to call this function. Okay. And let's just install this button a little bit. When we hover over it, I want to change the text color to be amber 600. And for this div, I want to just bring everything to the center using text center, and then add some margin at the top of 10. So let's try to get an error. For example, inside the home page, let's close everything up first. So inside the home page, let's make the API key a wrong one by adding an X here. So if you just try to get the top rated, as you can see, we are getting an error because the API key is wrong. You can see this error here, but this is only for the development mode. In the production, you don't see this error message. So what the users see in the website is this: something went wrong, please try again. And then here we can just click on try again. As you can see, we're still getting the error. But if you fix it, if you remove that X, as you can see, now we are not getting any error. Okay. So that was it for handling the error. Let's add this one to the GitHub. So the message for this one is going to be handle the error, and then we can just commit and push. So in the next section, what I want to do is to add this loading effect. If you refresh this page in the final, we see the spinner here. So actually Next.js has a feature of adding a loading effect without adding any use effect or something like that. So I'm going to show you how to do it in the next section. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we handled the error using Next.js. In this section, we're going to add the loading effect using the new feature of Next.js. So for adding the loading effect, we just need to create another file inside the app folder called loading with lowercase .jsx. So this is a React functional component. And then here, we can just add our loading spinner. I want to use a website called loading.io to get the spinner. If you go to loading.io, they have some free spinners you can download. For example, I want to choose this spinner. We can just make it a smaller with a smaller width, and let's make it transparent. And then let's choose a color. For example, let's choose this color. So we have to choose this color. Okay. So I don't want it to actually a background. So background is transparent. So for the color, I want to choose this kind of color. Okay. So I think it's fine now. So once you just choose your color and shape and everything else, or you can change the speed even, make it slower or faster. Once you're happy, you can just download it as an SVG. You just click on SVG, animate it. Yeah, you can just download it for free, but you need to sign up. Let me sign up quickly. Okay, now we can just click on free download and download it. So we have this SVG. We just need to drag it and bring it inside our Visual Studio Code and put it inside the public folder. I'm just gonna rename this one to spinner.svg, and then inside the loading.jsx, here we just create an image tag with the source. If you're just putting something inside the public folder, you just put the name, that's enough. We just say spinner.svg, and the alternative we just say loading. And let's bring this one to the center by just adding a flex and justify center. So let's try to see it inside our website. So if you refresh the page, because the fetching is very fast, we don't see the spinning. Let's try to make it slower by just going to the network, make it a slow SVG. So I think it's already fetched the data and doesn't show it. So when we add the images and etc., we're gonna see that the spinner, and also inside the fetching in this page, we just we fetch this one and then cache the data. That's why it's not loading for us anymore. But we can just add revalidate here. So we can just add some like we want to use next revalidation method. So we just say revalidate every, for example, 60 seconds or something. So if you use this one every 60 seconds, the Next.js service is going to fetch again the data, and if something is changed, they're gonna show it for us. So let's make this one 10 seconds. So we try the loading effect first. Let's refresh the page. Okay, it's super fast now. Okay, I just added a fake delay here inside our code. I just said after 2 seconds, call this function. I just put a set timeout for testing. I want to show you the loading effect. So now when we refresh the day, after 2 seconds, we see the result. Because the result is so fast, we didn't see it. So now you know the loading effect. So here we can see it too. We can add more margin top here, so you can see it better. Let's install this. Let's add some height of 96. So let's try again. Okay, it's getting a little bit bigger. Okay, let's make it smaller, like 50, 52. That's fine. We can add some margin top too. Margin top of 16. Okay, I think that's okay. So let's just remove that. If you want to test it, you just delay at 2 seconds delay. So let me just remove this one back. And then for revalidation, we don't need every 10 seconds because the movie is gonna change, for example, daily or weekly. So 10 seconds is actually very quick to check the new one. So you can just add, for example, 10,000 or something. But if your website is in a way that you need to refresh it faster, so the data is coming like every second a different data is coming, you can just remove this revalidate or just make it very short. But this is going to protect you from too many API requests. So you're gonna pay less to the API these companies if you have a lot of users, because you're gonna revalidate it every few seconds. Okay, so that was it for adding the loading effect. Let's add this one to the GitHub. So this is going to be add loading effect using Next.js. So in the next section, what we want to do is to create the card component like the one in the final version. And using this card component, we want to show the results. So see in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have added the loading effect. In this section, we're going to work on creating the cards and show the result inside a card. So what I want to do here is to create a card component. So inside the components, I want to create a new component called card.jsx. Let's create a React functional component using RFC. And let's add this one inside the result. If you remember, we have created a result component, but we just showed the title. But instead of showing the title, I want to just render that card. So let's delete this div, and then here we're going to have that card. We're going to import it at the top. The key is going to be result.id, and then we're going to pass this result. So as you can see, we just see the card. But what I want to do for the styling, I want to have 5 cards, 5 columns. And then in the smaller screen, I want to have 4, and then 3, 2, and finally 1. So here, it's very simple to do that. Actually, inside this div, we're going to say in the small size and above, I want to have a grid. So inside is a small size and above, I want the grid size, the column size to be 2. For the large size and above, let's make this grid one to be 3. So you get the point. You just have to add it in each size. So inside the X large, the column should be 4. And then we're going to have the same one for the 2x large. We're going to have 5. So here we see that we have 5, then we have 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then I want to bring them to the center. So we just say max width 6XL, the maximum width of the screen. And then we want to bring them to the center using MX Auto. And let's add some padding as well in the y-axis of 4. So these are the cards. So let's just, instead of just saying the card, we want to style them. So let's go to the card. We get this result here first. And then we want to have an image at the top, but the image, I wanted them to be inside a link tag, because when we click on the image, we want to go to that specific movie page. So we're going to import the link, and then we want to go to /movie / the movie ID, which is result.id. And let's close this link tag. And inside this link tag, we're going to have the image. We want to use the image tag from the Next.js, which is going to optimize our images automatically based on the size of the screen. So this image, it's going to have some, we just want to have src here. The src is going to be with this address, https imdb.tmdb.org/t/p original. And then we want to have that result dot poster underline poster, or we want to have that result dot backdrop underline path. This is the drop, sorry. So we're gonna target 2 places. So if we don't have this one, we're gonna see the next one, because some of the results, they have this one as an image, some of them they have this one. So we're gonna target both of them. So this is the image. The image is going to have a width and height. So the width, if you don't add a width, you're gonna get an error inside the Next.js. So you should have a width, and then the height is going to be 300. And then I want to style it a little bit. So in the small size and above, I want to make it rounded, but not all the places. I want to make just the round in the top section large. And let's see what we get. We are getting an error because when you add some image, you have to add that image to the config file of the. So we just need to copy this image.tmdb.org, and you just need to go to this file, tailwind.conf. Sorry, not tailwind. let's close this once so I can see everything here. Should be inside the next.config.js. So inside this file, we need to add inside this config, we're gonna have images, and this is going to be domains. And the domain we want to add is that TMDB, image.tmdb.org. And then as we are changing something inside the config file, we need to restart the server. So I'm gonna just run npm run dev again. Let's refresh the page now. So it takes some time to be loaded first. They said the image.domains configuration is deprecated. Please use image.removed patterns. So, okay. So let's see what's the change here inside the Next.js. So Next.js image configuration config. Let's go to the documentation. So we need to go to the images section, not here. Let's search for image tag, image optimization. Let's see. They didn't explain about the config. Let's just copy this warning and search for that inside Google. Okay, we have a Stack Overflow for that. Somebody is saying we are getting this warning. Let's see, the top result is this one. So we're gonna, instead of that, we want to use this format. So let's copy this, and then so we're gonna paste it here. And instead of this, we're gonna have our TMDB instead. Okay, let's restart the server. Now we are not getting any warning. Okay, our images is ready too. So we have the images, as you can see. So what I want to do more after the image, let's bring this one to the left side so you see the changes in real time. So it's not, the card is not completely in the center. Let's just add some width of full here in the image. Now it's not working here because we add some width to it, but in the mobile size we're gonna have this width. Let's check actually inside the inspect and check the mobile size. So inside the mobile, as you can see, it's actually working. So that is not actually a standard size you see, but actually this is like this. That's a full screen. So we shouldn't be worried about that. So after that image, I want to, when we hover over the card, I want to make some opacity inside the image. So if you hover over this div, that is all the card, I want to make this image transparent, a little bit more transparent. So here I just want to add a group, and then here I just say if we hover over this group, so group dash hover, then just change the opacity to, for example, 97%, and then add a transition on the opacity with the duration of, for example, 300 milliseconds. So let's see what we get. No, it's not working. Let's see. Okay, now it's working. So when we hover over it, we see some opacity. Okay. So after that, we're going to have a div with a paragraph inside it. And this is going to be result.overview. So we see the overview here, but I don't want to see all the overview. I just want to see the 2 lines of the overview. So what we do here, I want to add something called line clamp inside Tailwind CSS. So we need to just add a class name, and then this is going to be line clamp 2. So this is going to just show the 2 lines. And what else we want to do here, I just want to make the text to be medium. So after this paragraph, I want to see the title. So I'm going to add an h2 tag. Inside that, we want to see the result.title, but if it's not available, we want to see the name. So let's say name, and then let's close this. So as you can see, we get the title. Let's make the title a little bit bigger. So the text is going to be large, and also want to make the font to be bold. And let's make it truncate. If it's very big title, we want to just make it smaller. Here we don't have such a title. Yeah, here we have. If it's more than one line, we want to just add dot 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 at the end. So this is for the title. Let's add some padding here. So after the h2 tag, we're gonna have a paragraph, and inside the paragraph we want to see three things. First one is result.release date, or if it's not available, we want to get the release first air date. Then we want to have like the final version. We want to have a thumbs up icon and the number of votes. So we're gonna say FA thumb up. We need to import it at the top. Let's close this and then import it at the top. I think I made a mistake here. Thumbs up should be thumbs up. I think it's fine now. Let's try again. Okay, we see the thumbs up here now. After the thumbs up, we want to see the number of votes. So let's bring these three things next to each other by adding flex. We can just add item center to align them vertically. And I want to add some space between them. So inside the thumbs up, I want to make it actually height 5 and then margin right of 1 and margin left of 3, like this. So let's actually style this one at the top. So these cards, I want to make them having, first I want to make a cursor pointer. So when we hover over them, I want to see a pointing hand like this. And then in the SM size and above, when I hover over them, I want to see a shadow. But the shadow color, is slate, for example, 400. And then in the small size and above, let's set the size of the shadow. Let's just say shadow medium. Then I want to make it rounded large. So in the small size and above, I want to have a border, and a small size and above, let's make the border a slate 400, and a small size above a small size, if you can say it better, and then we just kind of have a margin of 2. So let's see what we get until now. So now we have a border. When we hover over it, we see a shadow effect, and also we can see it like this. So let's add some transition as well. So we're gonna have a transition on shadow and with a duration of 200. Okay, I think it looks okay. We can just make the texts a little bit smaller or some other things. It's totally up to you. You can just make it whatever you wish. This is just an example to how to use Tailwind CSS to style your project. So that's it for creating the card. In the next section, we're going to create each page. So if you look at the final version, each page has its own style. Like they have a title here, overview, date release, and rating. So we're gonna create these pages. Now, actually, we don't have any page. When we click, you get an error of 404, which is the page could not be found. So let's add this one to the GitHub first, and then we're gonna go to the next section. So this is going to be add card component. Okay, so see you in the next section for adding the movie page. All right, in the last section, we have created the card component. In this section, we're going to add the movie page. So first thing first, we just need to go to our Visual Studio Code, and here, because we want to make a dynamic page with a different ID, if you look at the final version, each movie has a different ID at the top. So we have a page /movie, and then after that we have a dynamic ID. So in this way, we need to create it like this in Next.js. So you have to create a folder inside the app directory called movie for the page. Just say movie. Inside the movie, we're going to have another folder with this method. Inside the bracket, you just add ID. And inside this ID, we're going to have a file called page.jsx. So let's create a React functional component and call this page movie page. So now if you go to our website, you go to /movie. Let's check again. Movie. Okay, actually this page didn't go inside the ID. You have to just move this page inside the ID folder, not inside the movie folder. So let me delete this first. Let's create that again. So we can just create it like this: ID /page.jsx. Now let's delete it again. Fail to delete. Okay, inside the ID, I'm gonna create a file. So let's try again. Movie. Okay, didn't delete it yet. Let's delete it. I don't know, I cannot delete it. So let's open this one inside the folder. Let's see what we have. Okay, we have a folder called movie. Let's delete it here. Okay, now let's create it again. Inside the app, I want to create a folder called movie, then a folder called ID, bracket ID, and then after that, we're going to have a file called page.jsx. Okay, now I think it's fine. Let's create a React functional component. We call it movie page. I think here we don't see a page, but if you add a / some number, as you can see, now we have the movie page. So any numbers we add here at the end, this is going to be ID and we're going to be redirected to this movie page. So let's create this movie page first. So the way that we get that ID in Next.js is like this. So here we just add movie ID and get it there. The things we get from here is exactly that ID here. So we can call it anything. Yeah, we can be ID or movie ID or whatever. So, and then we're gonna create a request. So we create a constant and then we wanna await. And as we are using await, as I mentioned, we have to create this one asynchronous. So this is going to be a server side. So await fetch, and then we're gonna create a request for api.tmdb.org/3/movie, and then we pass the movie ID. Then we need to pass the API key, which is inside the process.env.api_key. Okay, and then we're gonna close this. The language, we don't need any language, it's fine, because we are searching. We can search through all languages. So let's close this. Okay, after fetching the data, we wanna convert this one to JSON. So actually, I think this is a wrong way. This is kind of, you cannot get the movie here. So what we can get here is the params, actually. We get the params, and then we can get the movie ID by just saying params.id. And the ID is here, we get. And then if you remember, we just said ID, and this is that ID. So params.id. So the movie ID would be like this. So after getting the movie, we can console log for now. I want to see what we get. So as you can see, we are getting an error saying the resource you requested could not be found because we don't have a movie with this ID. Let's see the final version. For example, for the Aquaman, we can use this ID 572802. So let's test it in our website. Now, if we check our console, we can see that, yeah, we got something here. Let's refresh the page. Okay, we got some data. Yes, the Aquaman movie, something, yeah, Aquaman and Lost Kingdom, the original title came. So we got the data. So we want to show it inside this page. Let's close this. So instead of console logging, we want to see it here. So first thing first, I want to make this div to be with the width of full. And then here we want to have another div, and inside this div we're going to have an image tag. So we need to import it from next/image, and this image is going to have an src. The src is going to be http IMdB original, and then we need to pass that movie backdrop path or poster path. The width is going to be 500 and the height 300. So let's see the error. Okay, we passed the width already. So we are getting the image actually. So that's fine. So we want to add a class name here. Just make it rounded large. You can see it like this. So this is the image. And then after the image, we're going to have another div for the right side. So first one is going to be an h2 tag. So this is going to be movie.title or movie.name. So we see the movie name now. After that, we're going to have a paragraph. This is going to be movie.overview. After that, we're going to have the release date, movie.release underline date. Or if it's not available, we want to have the movie.first air date. After this paragraph, we just want to show the number of votes. So we just say movie.vote underline count. So let's just style this one and just make it more beautiful. So this div that is covering both of them, I want to make it put the padding of 4 in the medium size and above. We just want to padding at the top of 8, and then we want to make it flex and flex column in the mobile size, but in the medium size, tablet size and above, we just say flex row. So to bring them next to each other. Then let's bring the content to the center. We just say content center, and we just add a maximum width of 6 pixels and bring everything to the center using MX Auto. And in the medium size and above, we want to add a space between these things. We just say a space x6. So this is the large size. Okay, so this is for styling, and then for this movie, we have the h2 tag. That is this div that is covering everything. We just want to have a padding of 2. And then for the h2 tag, let's make the text to be large, and then we add a margin bottom of 3, and let's make the font to be bold. For the paragraph, let's make the text to be large, and let's add a margin at the bottom of 3. For the release date, before this paragraph, adding this paragraph, this movie date, I want to add a span here. This one is going to say date released. So for this one, I just want to make the font to be semi-bold, and we add the margin on the right side of 1. So for the both of them, I want to add some margin at the bottom of 3. So for the vote count, we can just use the same system. We just say a span, but this one is going to be rating. And that should be the same. And also let's add that padding or margin bottom of 3. Okay, similar, something like that. So the image, actually, you can see the size is a little bit weird. For the image, we can add a style here. For inline style, we need to add 2 set of curly braces, and then we just say max width of, for example, everything we can just do 100%, and then height 100% too, the max height. This is going to fix it, I think. Or just say height. Okay, that's better. Okay, so that's it for creating the movie page. Let's add this one to the GitHub. So this is going to be add movie page. You can commit and push. In the next section, we're going to work on the search functionality. We're going to add the search ability for our website. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed our movie page. In this section, we're going to work on the search ability and the search box first, and then show the search result. So first thing first, we want to add that search box inside our layout.js. So let's close everything. We can focus on this part. I want to create a new component inside the components folder. So the new component is going to be search box.jsx. You can just create a React functional component, and now let's add it to the layout.js after the navbar. So here we're going to add that search box. So now we have this search box. Let's bring this one to the right side so we can just create this page. So the search box is going to be just a form. So we can just change this div to a form. And this form is going to have an input with the type of text. And then with the placeholder, we just say search keyword or keywords. You can see the search box now. Let's just style this one. So we add a class name here. I want this text box to be with the full size, with the height of 14. Let's make it rounded medium. I want to make the placeholder color to be gray 500. And then let's make it remove the outline. So when we click on it, we don't see any line around it. And we change the background color to be transparent. And after that, let's make it flex once. So this is going to cover all the place until we see the button. So after that, we're going to have a button saying search, this button. So let's just add a class name to the button. So this is going to be text amber 600. And I want to make this one disabled when we don't have a search. So let's actually add a piece of state for the search param, or we can just call it search. So this is going to be an empty string from the beginning. Let's import the user state at the top. So when we don't have any search, we want to make it disabled, this button. So we just say disabled when we don't have any search. And as we're using user state, which is a React hook, we need to change this component to a client side using use client. So we don't get an error. And we want to change this search. We want to make the value of this to be search. And also when we want to add an unchanged event listener to set this change, whatever the target dot value is. So when we write something here, this is going to be inside this piece of state called search. So that's for this part. Or we can disable it when we have a search. We don't have it. Or we can just say search is equal to an empty string. It's disabled, but we need to actually show it the disabled. So the button, let's add a style for the disabled. When it's disabled, we want to have a text gray 400. So now it's gray. When we type something, we see it's not disabled. Okay. Now let's bring them next to each other. So we're going to have a class name for the form. Let's make it flex, justify between to add a space between them and add some padding in the x-axis of 5. And also we want to make the maximum width to be 6xl. And we bring it to the center using mx auto. So this is going to be like this. Let's just, okay, it's working. So, and then we want to have an onSubmit event listener for the form. So we're going to call a function called handle submit and create this function here at the top. So the handle submit, first thing first, we want to just prevent the default behavior, which is refreshing the page when we submit this form. As you can see, it's refreshing the page. And also we want to remove that refreshing. So now let's come back. When we click, we don't refresh the page. And then we want to go to that specific page. So for doing that, we want to use something called use router. We just say use router from next router. Sorry, not the next router, next navigation. Next navigation. And then here we're going to say router equals to use router. And then after that, we want to push this one to /search this search. So let me show you what I mean by that. For example, if I search something like hello and I press enter, we're going to go to /search /hello. So now we want to create this page, the search page with the dynamic search here. So similar to the one we did for the movie, we want to create another page. So we're going to create a page called search with the ID of, for the ID, we just use search term for the dynamic part. And then we're going to say page.jsx. Let's create a React functional component. And then we just call this one search page. So the way that we get that ID, remember, we just get that params here. And then based on this param, we can just get the search term. So the search term is going to be params.search term. And after that, we can do our fetching. So here we just say const response. And this is going to be equal to await. As we are using await, we need to change this one to asynchronous. And then this is going to be fetch from this URL. And this is going to be tree search movie. And then we're going to pass the API key, which is the process.env.api key. And then we want to pass that query, which is the search term. And also I want to add more things like, I want to make language, English. And then we want to remove the adult, make it false, and also get only one page. Okay, so, and also when we get this one, we want to convert it to JSON. And then the results is going to be data.results. And then we can show them using our card that we have created in the last time. So here inside this div, we want to create a condition. First, we just say if there is a result, and if the result.length is equal to 0, so if there is no movie with that title, so in this case, we just want to have a h1 tag. We just say no results find. And we want to bring this one to the center. So we just add a class name. We just say text center. And then we add a padding at the top of 6 after the h1 tag. So let's close this. So this is for that. Otherwise, if we have the result, we want to show it. If the result is more than 0, so we're going to get to this point, then we want to pass it to our results component. We're gonna import it at the top. So let's close this. Let's see what we get here. So let's try again. Let's see what error we are getting. 0 is not a function. I think I passed some 0 here. Right here. Okay. Okay, now we are getting the result for the hello. So let's search something else, for example, wolf. You can see the result here for the term wolf. Let's search something else, for example, Terminator. Okay. So that's it for creating the search bar and adding the search functionality. Let's add this one to the GitHub. So here we're gonna just add everything, and then we just create a message, add search box, and we can commit and push. So in the next section, we're going to deploy our application. So see you in the next section. All right, welcome back. In this section, we're going to deploy our application to Hostinger. If you remember, at the beginning of the video, we have purchased a VPS. Now we have this panel here, the VPS panel. The way we're gonna access to our VPS is just here to go to the panel access and click here to our login URL. Once you click on it, you can I already signed in, but if you're not logged in, you need to just put your username, which is just the admin, and the password that you have created when you have purchased the Hostinger VPS. So once you're logged in, you can see that I have already created one website for my practice. You can make as much as website you want. So I can just add another one. You just click on add site. As we are using Next.js, Next.js is using Node.js behind the scenes, so we need to create a Node.js site. So we click here. So after that, we're gonna define our domain. So what we want to do here, I already have a domain in my Google domain, 100JS projects. I can just add some subdomain here. You can just go to your DNS if you want to add some domain. So for example, I want to just call it IMdB, for example, version 2, because I have already created one before. I just say .100jsprojects.com, anything. And then here, you can just call it whatever you want. For example, IMdB version 2, the site user. The port is going to be 3000. That's fine. And then we're going to use Node.js. I'm going to use the latest version, 20. So once you create this, you're going to click on create. This is going to create your one. The port already exists. So port is already in use. So you can just change the port because I already used the port 3000. But probably for you, it's available. I just put it 3001. I just click on create. So it's gonna take a few seconds to be created. So here, as you can see, now we have this IMdB version 2. We can click on manage. Here we want to add the SSL certificate. This is going to be free as well, and you can just easily add it to your application. But before doing that, we need to add this IP address to our domain. So the domain is going to have that DNS record. So I'm going to copy this IP address. I go to Google Domains. I want to add a new record. So this is going to be IMdB version 2.100jsprojects.com. Let's add a new one. This is just the previous one. I'm going to add a new one. Okay. Here we can click on create new record and I paste this IMdB version 2. And here I have to just put this IP. Okay, so when I click on save, this is going to have the DNS and the type is going to be A, for example. Okay, so now we can just request for the SSL. So I'm going to click on new encrypt certificate and this is our domain name. We need to check it and then create and install. As you can see, they said a DNS record pointing to this service is required. We have already done it. in our domain. So it doesn't matter. You can just use other platforms, but you need to add it similarly. You just need to add a custom DNS record for your domain. Okay, so it's already created, so it's fine. So we can just check our application now, website now. If we just put it here, as you can see, it says bad getaway, but it's a good sign because we already have the SSL because the connection is secure here. So that was the first step. After that, we're going to add our website here. The next step is to create our application and bring it to the file manager here. So we go back to our website, the IMdB Next, and here I'm going to use npm run npm run build to build our application. So this is going to build it for us for the production. After creating that, we need to copy all the files and bring it to our application. So it's already created. So we need to go to, if you click here, we can reveal it in a finder, or you can just go to the folder that you have created. So what we want to do is to copy all the files. So I'm going to select all of them and except the node modules. And what else we need is we don't need here. So that's it. We can just copy everything. We just need to just right click and click on compress. So once you have this file, we just need to go to our file manager. So inside the control panel, go to file manager, we go to htdocs. So as you can see, we have this domain. We click on it and here it is empty. We just need to now drag this zip file and bring it to this file manager and paste it here. And then we need to extract it. So the place I want to extract it is the /, which is the root directory. So now we have all the files here. What we want to do is to run the npm run build and also npm run. We're gonna install it. We're gonna run it to be able to have this website in this domain. So we need to have access to this URL. In order to communicate with this panel, we need to create a SSH key because we need to have some encryption and connect with our computer with this computer. So what we need to do is to come back to our hostinger panel. And here we're going to go to setting and create a SSH key. I've created one before for my previous practice. So here we want to create a new one. So here inside your application, we will need to create it as well. So here you're gonna use, let me clear this so you can see it. We're gonna use a SSH keygun -t RSA. So when you type this one, this is going to ask you how do you want to create that SSH. So we're gonna put a name for that. For example, I want to just call it IMdB. Okay. When you press enter, they said you want to add a passphrase. I just want to keep it empty. So this is going to create a file called imdb.pub. And here we're going to have our SSH key. So we can just copy this and come back to our panel and add that SSH key. I just call it IMdB and paste the key here. And then we're going to add this SSH key here. This is going to take a while. As you can see, it started to creating it. Once it's finished, we can have access to our panel using this SSH key. I could use this one as well, but for showing you, I've created a new one. So now it's created here. So now we can just go to overview again. So as you can see, now we have, if you go to SSH access, as you can see, we can use this code inside our terminal to have access to our VPS. So we just copy this terminal code and paste it in our terminal. So this is going to ask us, are you sure you want to connect? We just say yes. And then the password of our we defined in Hostinger. I'm going to add that one. So as you can see now, we are inside our cloud panel. So what we do here, we want to connect and install our application. So first thing first, we need to go to our website. So what we want to do here, if you remember, we have created a site user for our application. So if you go back to your site panel, you check here, you can see the site user is IMdB version 2. So we're going to use this one to connect to there. So I want to copy this and come back to our terminal. Once you are inside your home page, so what we want to do here, we just say, let me just clear this. Okay, so when you're inside the root, we want to just write down sudo su dash and then the name that you have copied, which is IMdB version 2. So now as you can see, we are inside the IMdB version 2. So if we just remember, we had some folders and files here. In the previous one, we had a folder called htdocs, and inside that we had this domain. So we need to go inside that by just saying cd htdocs. Once you're inside htdocs, we can just see our domain here, and we can go inside our domain. You can just use tab to select it, cd tab, and now we are inside our domain. Let's see what we have here by using ls. As you can see, we have all the files for our application. So what we want to do is to first install our application. We just say npm install because we haven't copied the module folder. So once we click on npm install, we're going to install our application, all the packages like Next, React, and etc. After the installation, we need to run npm run npm run build. So let's this finish and then we can just build it, but we need to build in the production mode. So now it's completed. We have installed everything. Let me clear this again. So now we want to run npm run build, but we want to do it in a production mode. So we're going to add node underline env equal production, and then we want to add npm run build. So this is going to build our application, and once we build it, we can just use npm start to start our application. Let's this one finished, and then we can do that part. So this is going to take a while as well, but it's not too long. Okay, now it's completed. So let's clear this again. The next step, we can just run it. We can just say npm start. So now let's see our website again. Before we had the bad getaway, let's refresh this one. Let's see. The problem here is because we have this defined, if you remember at the beginning, for the port, I have to choose 3001 instead of 3000 because the 3000 was not available. So here, the Next.js is running our port on localhost 3000. So we need to actually change this port in our file manager. So what we want to do is to go to our cloud panel, and then we just go to package.json, and then here, as you can see, we have a script, div, build, and start. For the div, we just add -p 3001, and for the start, I add -p 3001. But if you have already 3000 in your control panel, that's okay. You don't need to do anything. So I'm going to save this one, and then I go to here, stop the server using Ctrl+C, and then use npm start again. So now it's running on port 3001. So if you go to our application now, as you can see, we have our website. So it's working now, but as you can see, we are not getting any information from the IMdB database. The problem is when we have copied our file, we haven't copied our .env file because this .env is not visible for my Finder by default. So I couldn't see it. So I didn't choose it and didn't go inside the archive file. So what I want to do here, we want to add that manually to our control panel. So what we do here, we go here, we come back to our file manager, and we just go to htdocs, our domain, and then here I want to add a new file. So I'm going to add a new file here, and the file is going to be .en. So let's see, .env, and we just add that. We cannot see it actually because it's not visible here as well. I think we just need to refresh the page here. So let's go to htdocs again. Okay, now you can see the .env file. We can just go inside and then we paste our API key from our website and put it here and save that. So it can be .env or .env.local, it doesn't matter. So now we need to actually refresh because we have changed something. We can just stop the server and run npm start again. Let's see if we can just get any data. Okay, now it's working. Now we are getting the data from our website. We cannot get the images. So let's go to top rated. All the informations are coming except the image. Okay, just came. I think it had some problem at the beginning. Now it's working. You just need to have some time to give the server to load everything. So everything is working. This is the light mode and dark mode. Okay. Seems like everything is working perfectly. So you just search something, for example, wolf. Okay. So you just need to wait for the images to be loaded first. So another problem may happen is when we stop the server here, now the server is running. So when we stop it using Ctrl+C, if you refresh the page, you can see that again, the website is not working. So we want to actually run the servers all the time. We don't want to actually run it locally like this. So what we can do is to install a package called PM2. This PM2 is going to let the server to run automatically when it stops and just gonna restart automatically and run all the time. So let me clear this. So inside our server, we're gonna install a package called PM2. We're gonna install the latest version. We just say PM2 latest, and you can just add -g to install it globally. So after this installation, we're gonna run it. We can just use PM2 start npm -- we're gonna set a name for that. For example, IMdB version 2. And then we wanna just start it. We just say -- space start. After that, we're gonna just run PM2 save. So now it is just installed, and as you can see, I haven't run npm start, but if you refresh the page, you can see our website is running and it's working as we expected. Okay, that was it for installation and deployment in the Hostinger. I hope you enjoyed and learned many things. So see you in the next project.